three core team members. There's me, Squirrel, and there's Dismad.
Hey guys, how you doing?
And there's Tecnopapapi, but unfortunately he's not in the call with us today. Yeah, let's get started.
All right, so this is a general outline of what we're going to talk about today. What is ZecHub? Initial conditions, ZecHub DAO origins, ZCG's role, current DAO members. We wanted to give a bird's eye view of ZecHub, and that includes empowering the community, aiming beyond, going deeper. We offer some 2023 bounty stats and community collabs. Then Squirrel's going to give an overview of the ZecHub site. That includes a wiki, and it's updated. And we got some excellent features he's going to go through. And it also includes a brand new ZecHub store. And then we'll go over some video content. We have a live demo that we can showcase. And we're going to talk about what's coming up for us, call to action, and then questions. So what is ZecHub? ZecHub is really, if I had to encapsulate three parts of ZecHub that I think are most important to us, there's a vision, a mission, and a values. So what's our vision? To have fun growing new forms of decentralized governance models and increase Zec's utility cross-chain. And what's our mission? To provide an open source education platform where community members can work together on creating, validating, and promoting content that supports the Zcash ecosystem. And there's three core values that are central to everything we do. And that is ZecHub believes privacy is a human right. ZecHub believes education should be open source and accessible worldwide. And ZecHub believes community members have the right to earn Zec privately.
Okay, so I'm going to go over the initial conditions. So how ZecHub got started. It was founded by Yanis. He posted an RFI, a request for information, in the Zcash community forum, and he stated, I created ZecHub to give the community a way to be part of the Zcash marketing efforts. ZecHub is also lower cost lift than other efforts being done. The majority of ZecHub is done on free platforms, and the financial cost of the subscriptions used to support the project is roughly $1,000 a year. Also, I find the concept of open sourcing education initiatives like open source code a very interesting one. None of the work around maintaining ZecHub is particularly difficult. It just takes a committed community members willing to consistently release content pertaining to the Zcash ecosystem. Sorry, the text is very small. But essentially, Yanis posted this to the Zcash community forum. It was received well. Me and Dismad were, I think, among the first people to reply to this, to respond, and we were like more than willing to get involved. And this is like before there was any we didn't know what would come of it, but it just seemed like something that we were both interested in. So me and Dismad worked on it for I think like 4 or 5 months before we then moved to kind of formalize the project.
I just want to add that if we could sum it up in a few words, volunteers with a shared interest. That's what really started ZecHub, and I think that's beautiful.
So the origins, ZecHub is a DAO, a decentralized autonomous organization. It's a group of predominantly Zcash community members who were all interested in this project we had in the earlier slide, and we formed a DAO. So it was initially on Ethereum. There was like an NFT that granted membership. I think it started with 11 members, and you can see the first post which was made by Yanis in the ZecHub Discord chat. We've included it here. Lots of relics.
I just want to add,
Yeah.
sorry, Squirrel, that all the history and how this actually played out is in the Zcash global Discord. So I encourage everyone to check that out. And this is part of the open source nature of it. I think it's beautiful. And like Squirrel said, we didn't know if this was going to work. Very fish out of water, but we tried, and it panned out beautifully. Okay. So the next step in moving from this idea into a more formalized role was how ZCG fits in here. So we didn't know what we were going to do. So I kind of, on my own accord, created this Zcash education contributor grant that I proposed in the beginning of January. I didn't really tell anyone because I just did it kind of spur of the moment. And initially it was exciting, but then community feedback was given, and it was signaled that perhaps a more well-rounded DAO that included more people would be better. So I changed the grant into a ZecHub DAO proposal instead. And I think this is important aspect of what happened because it shows that ZecHub is really more about community than it is about any individual contributor. And furthermore, now looking back from all the work we've done, it's amazing how much I underestimated how much work this is involved in this project. And there's no way, zero chance I could have done this on my own. So I just wanted to highlight that. So the official link is posted here in the chat. ZecHub Open Source Education. Again, that's public for everyone to see. And I posted the official announcement of when this grant was awarded. Decentralized Dan posted. I think it was like the 3rd or 2nd week of January. Okay.
And so it's been a very long road. And we now have 18 DAO members. And we have since moved the DAO from Ethereum to Cosmos. And there's a QR code there. So if you scan it, I think it should take you to our DAO page where all of our 33 proposals are listed. So you could get a good idea of exactly what we're voting on, what kind of decisions we're making. And yeah, we also have a sub DAO. It's called Zcash Design. And yeah, they are like a subset, or I guess, yeah, like a subset of ZecHub community members who are like design professionals. And they also submit proposals for special projects that they're willing to make. I think the most recent one was a rather small project just to do like subtitles for the Zcash Brazil YouTube channel. Yeah.
Hey, I just want to also point out that on our intro slide, there were a lot of logos and a picture of a notepad that was actually created by one of our DAO members, Minnie, who I want to call out. She's been an amazing resource. And again, this points out to how community members are really who make what ZecHub is today. And go ahead.
Also, just to also mention, the list of DAO members there are, I believe, fairly representative of the like entire global Zcash community. We've got members from Russia, from South America, from Europe, like all over the world. And so if they can provide input on what they would like to see from ZecHub, like what type of education content, it shouldn't just be in English. Should it be, yeah, like the subtitles for in Portuguese, or is there something that we should make for the Espanol community? Like we're meant to represent everyone.
So I wanted to give a bird's eye view of ZecHub just to kind of get a visual of how we're set up. So on the left-hand side, we have the ZCG, who funded the initial grant for what I'll call core contributors. That was me, Squirrel, and initially Tokidoki, and now Tecnopapapi. And we help run the ZecHub DAO. And so the ZCG grant includes core contributor salary plus a shielded bounty. And that shielded bounty is the most important part of the grant because that is what allows the community to earn Zec privately and in a way that helps the ecosystem. So core contributors work for the ZecHub DAO. I think that's an important point. And ZecHub DAO works on proposals from the community. And this is the part that I really want to emphasize. Anyone from the community can submit proposals. This is not a walled garden. This is intended for everyone to contribute. And as more people contribute, I believe it'll become even stronger. So on a technical level, DAO members have the view key for the core contributor accountability of the bounty fund. Side note, in the future, I would love to use Frost and for that particular fund so that it'll be more secure. So shout out to the Frost guys. I think that is the future. And in addition, since we're using DAO, there is a multi-sig in DAO that is distinct and controlled by the DAO. And it's basically 1 over the number of members of the DAO. So if we have 17 members, each person has 1 over 17th vote. And I do want to give a shout out to DAO, who is allowing us to experiment with these DAO features that otherwise would have been very hard to do without the interface that it provides. It's cheap to use, it's fast, it's proof of stake, and I think it gives a good framework for what Zcash could potentially be in the future once it moves to, when it moves to proof of stake later in time. So empowering community. One of ZecHub's main objectives is promoting Zcash by empowering the community. By democratizing content creation, ZecHub helps participants develop skills, rewarding members who complete tasks with Zec. These participants also learn through research about the importance of financial privacy, financial freedom, and the crypto ecosystem in general. ZecHub community members create on a weekly basis written content, graphic content, and audio-visual content. Aiming beyond. The goal is for members to aim beyond completing single work tasks, to understand the different parts of the ecosystem and integrate in a deeper way. So we're looking for folks to join the DAO. We're looking for new ZCG proposals, and we're looking to integrate Zcash payments into their own business. These are just a few examples.
And so going deeper, how is it structured? So we have, we work using dwork. It's a platform. You can go to dwork.zechub.org, and we essentially list tasks on a weekly basis. People can create documentation. We have a GitHub repository, and usually it's markdown documents. They can make pull requests into the main ZecHub GitHub repository, and they will be added to the knowledge base of all the Zcash information that we've accumulated over the past 2 years. So we have like a broad outline of contributor bounty payouts, which are expected. Say for a wiki, for one wiki page, we would say a fair amount is 1 Zec. And to make edits, it would be 0.15 Zec. Or for translations, it'd be 0.15 Zec. For any edits, it'd be 0.1 Zec. And for a newsletter, normally it's 0.5 Zec. So we're really open to people who are interested in Zcash. If they want to make something, we have the framework to do it. If there's Zcash community members who would like to see a particular bounty being listed, that is completely open. You can go on to dwork.zechub.org and you can create a task that someone else can complete or accomplish. And I'm pretty happy that over the past 4 months, we've seen many, like an increasing amount of ZecHub contributors making their own tasks. So they're becoming more aware of what's needed in the ecosystem, and they say, "Okay, I'm willing to receive Zcash payment for doing this." It's pretty cool.
I also want to give a shout out to Free to Z. We support Free to Z, and we have a ZecHub page. I added a QR code for those on mobile who want to check it out. We have a lot of resources, and I think Free to Z is an underutilized resource that more Zcashers should check out.
And so over the past, well, in 2023, specifically, we had 55 contributors, a total of 398 ZEC was distributed, and on average, each contributor earned 7.2 ZEC. Many of those tasks have been like design work, and some of it is, well, thanks to the consistent and the consistent efforts of the Decentralizing Digital Task Force. ZecHub is now able to like contribute to the main Zcash channels, and this is just like an example of some of the stuff that we've put out that's been quite well received. And a very, very special thank you. This like wouldn't be possible without the Zcash Brazil mods who are maintaining the Zcash Global Discord, Zcash Espanol and RU Zcash who are translating the Zec Weekly editions via their own channels, Oleg and Yogi who've been translating video tutorials into Italian and Portuguese, and Yogi again from Zcash Brazil, who's been creating these really cool Zec Weekly covers. CF AV Club workshops for help like teaching us how to do video editing using design software, and even Ryan and Zero Darts specifically for like their amazing AI artwork, which are normally reused by ZecHub and teaching us how to use that stuff as well. Thank you.
I just want to add that this slide really encapsulates what my favorite part of ZecHub is everyone coming together and bringing their strengths. And this is awesome. And I can't say enough about the folks that have been contributing. They're awesome and they deserve way more praise. So I'll start
I'll go through this
very
quickly.
ahead.
Don't worry. So the initial ZecHub wiki site, it was on Notion. As I said before, contributors would create markdown documents with information on wallets, Zcash organizations, starter guides, anything you can think of. People would submit those markdown documents into the GitHub repo. It was presented in this Notion site. After a few months of collecting all of this information, the Notion site was very, very hard to navigate, and it wasn't mobile friendly. In late November of 2023, we launched this new website. It was created by Manuel Rios as a ZecHub task, quite a large task. It was modeled on ethereum.org, and this website was created to like initially throughout 2023, we were collecting all of this like Zcash knowledge base. At the end of 2023, the priority then became, how are we going to provide this information? How are we going to present it in a way that people can actually navigate and use? And if you go to zechub.wiki, you can check it out, and it's got a ton of new functions, and I think it's beginning to work very well. Some of those new functions, it has a network stats dashboard, which presents the shielded supply across the 3 shielded pools. It's got a halving countdown meter. It shows the amount of ZEC in each of the shielded pools. There's some information below there, which you can't see, which essentially prints out like information from Zcash Zcash Block Explorer API rather. And that's a preview of our menu.
I also want to point out that the scripts that are helping run the shielded supply are open source and available for anyone to use. I know there's been a lot of chatter online about the lack of shielded supply, accurate shielded supply info, and all of these scripts run from a full node, which I recommend everyone run. But I just wanted to highlight that the scripts that we're using are open source, and I encourage everyone to check them out and build on them and or use them if as needed.
Everything on that network dashboard was essentially from zlink.click, created by Oleg. So big thank you to Oleg for sharing the scripts there as well. Okay, so we have more functions. If you go to zechub.wiki/wallets, you'll be presented with a list of all the Zcash wallets. We don't just give you a list of wallets. We also want to give you an option to filter out each of the wallets by their features. So which are mobile, which are desktop, which have sapling, which have orchard, which are still in development, which sync mechanisms are used in each of these. And we're hoping that this can kind of ease the kind of barriers to entry when people are trying to figure out like Zcash wallets, essentially. In addition to that, we also added a new like donate widget to the site, and it uses zip321, and we're hoping like this is an example of how people can essentially copy this and use it in their own blogs and sites.
The ZecHub store is another beautiful example of how the community coming together can yield amazing results. We are using on the backside Zgo, and I created a QR code for those who are curious how to set this up. But it essentially allows anyone to create a store and accept shielded Zec as the currency of choice. And I think that's so awesome. And the other aspect of this is all these designs our community are created. So we have a positive feedback loop where the community is contributing and it's increasing Zec usage. And I just think it's awesome. And the other aspect of ZecHub beyond the sites and the DAO is the content itself. We do have a YouTube. Again, as a QR code, if you have your phone, you can subscribe, like, check out your favorite videos. But what I wanted to highlight was we have about 113 videos, the average view count 183, median view count 131. And from what I've seen, and the data is showing, the most popular content is shielded education, advanced wallet functions like cold storage, DeFi and ZSA education is very popular. In fact, I highly recommend everyone check out the Zcash Shielded Asset Protocol. That was Shielded Labs and us together, and Robman, huge shout out to Robman, helped us create this video, and it's really it gets me excited because there's huge things coming. And then the last section is the podcast with diversity industry experts are another big hit. And I think it's interesting also that while these videos aren't getting, thousands of views, they are steadily building over time. And I think as time moves on, these will be invaluable resources for the community.
Okay, so very quickly, I'm gonna just share. This is an app that we created. It's called Zec Transmission. Someone can use the map to select where they want to send a Zcash shielded memo, and it will beam it down via satellite. And I'm just kind of doing this as a demonstration of what is what you can make with Zcash. The key thing to note here is that when I tap the QR code, as you can see, it opens a Zcash. It opens a list of Zcash wallets which can detect zip321 payment URIs. And so I think a lot of apps can be created already using Zcash. We don't need smart contracts. We've already got some pretty cool functionality. So what's next? This is the roadmap that we created at the very beginning of January. And this is, essentially what we thought was possible in the 5 months. And I think that for the most part, we've reached most of these things. The retroactive compensation round isn't going to happen, but we were lucky enough to work with My First Zcash instead.
I do want to point out that through DAO they have a retroactive compensation module, which we can explore in the future. So it is possible we can revisit that at a later time.
And so what's next for ZecHub? I would very much like for us to start to encourage some of the developers who have worked with us. So far, it's 13 who have contributed to ZecHub.wiki. And the first thing which I'd like to see is for a form, which again uses this zip321 payment URI so that people can send us proposals, or specifically send the DAO proposals for proof of concept apps that they'd like to build. It could be fun games. It could be a radio station that accepts requests via shielded memo. We would like to see that kind of thing.
All right, guys. So the call to action, if we can sum up everything that I want everyone to take away. ZecHub education is open to everyone. Bounties will continue. The ZecHub DAO is open to new ideas. Anyone can create proposals. And bottom line, I want everyone to have fun because that's where the most learning happens. Expect change. This stuff isn't easy and it's very fluid and we need to adapt. Questions?
Yes, we did have a question which came in. Has ZecHub considered a dissemination campaign for incontinents or countries with low community activity? How do you plan to engage these communities and highlight the benefits of Zcash? Yes, we have considered, well, not exactly campaigns, but we have considered working with Zcash global ambassadors. As fate would have it, My First Zcash is essentially a workbook that I think Zcash global ambassadors can use to like hold workshops. I also think that the ZecHub store, if they're like flags or banners that are needed, we can send them out to those groups. And even today, if you go into the Zcash Global Discord in the ZecHub channel, you will see a contributor from who knows where has just come up with the idea to host local workshops. So we're interested. If you've got ideas, let us know.
Another question came in. Do you have plans to specifically target more mature users, say 65 and over, in your efforts? As populations age and more computer literate than in the past, I see this as a potential targeting in your educational efforts. I couldn't agree more. And I think it's interesting that both older users and younger users are in the same boat. And that is the challenge for us, because the learning curve is clearly hard for Zcash, and that is our goal, is to make it as easy as possible. But yeah, I think we need to show a lot of patience, especially with the older generation, because in some ways that we have to earn their trust, and that takes time. But I think what we've started is going to help in that, and as we gather more folks from the community, I think there's even potential for, someone to really take on specific areas or specific types of folks that they want to specialize in, and perhaps we can help spur that. So great question. Thank you for that.
I think we have another one here. Since educational content often gets less attention online compared to entertainment, do you have strategies to make it more appealing? Can gamification make the lessons more fun, engaging, and interactive? Yes.
I would like to jump in on that.
Go ahead.
Yeah, this has been a learning experience for us too. And so far, yes, we've been working with audiovisual content to promote and educate about Zcash and financial privacy. But it would be a good experience, an awesome experience to know, to start learning about gamification and these entertainment possibilities. Try not to make video boring. That's a challenge. I'm the one who's been reading, trying to learn. But yes, we want to aim to make more entertaining plus educational videos. Anyways, one of the cool things about this world is that it can be very fun. It's not very hard to learn if you really pay attention and if you really want to learn. So, right now, our strategy is making fresh, easy to digest content, but we are aiming to provide a more interactive or fun experience in the future. That's something we would like to add up.
There's another question.
Go ahead.
There's another question I'd like to address. Have you thought about having a ZecHub space content in Spanish? Absolutely. At the end of the day, there's only so much the three of us can accomplish together. And what we really need is more folks who are willing to take on those types of events. Especially like with me, I don't speak very good Spanish, so it's hard for me to really understand the questions and connect with the community. But if we can find the folks that are willing to help us with stuff like that, I think because we're open source, we have a framework, and I think we can grow there, but we're going to need more support through folks.
We've been indeed sharing some of our material in Spanish. I've been sharing them with my people from Zcash in Espanol, and it's a very positive experience. But yes, we need a bit more hands because we have to be creating. Then I have to translate and distribute to every channel. So sometimes I don't have the time. Sometimes something happens. We are aiming to that. I was thinking about talking with you guys. We can discuss it later about creating a Spanish Instagram account. But yeah, a little more cooperation from the community will be welcome in that matter.
We also have the Zcash global folder, which part of the initial work in 2023 was creating we translated the entire ZecHub wiki into a bunch of different languages. When we moved over to the new site, we could only create the site in English. So there are many folders. There's the full ZecHub wiki in Italian, Portuguese, some of it, like most of Russian, I believe. And yeah, like Spanish and Swahili and Yoruba. If anyone wants to work on that and to create their own material from it, or would like to work with us with those folders, let us know. There's another question. Do you plan to take more active role in creating developer-focused content to bridge the gap between developers and ZecHub DAO? Yes. Yeah. Like particularly with that app factory idea, I think like in the Zcash community, we have amazing developers who are like super geniuses, right? So the analogy that I would draw is like in astronomy, you've got like the Hubble Space Telescope, you've got JWST, you've got the Very Large Telescope Array, like you've got all these big mega projects, right? And they're all like dedicated to finding habitable planets and finding new things. But every now and then you find there's an amateur astronomer who comes along with like a $400 telescope and points it into a piece of the sky that's never been looked at before and discovers like a new comet or a new asteroid. So I think that kind of approach of just like bringing everyone or allowing anyone to like make something that they're interested in it might just like yield something useful or fun that people want to use their Zcash wallets for.
There is another question here, if I can read it for you guys. I don't know if you guys can hear me.
Yeah, go ahead.
Okay, there's another question here. ZecHub has grown significantly in the last year. How do you think it has impacted the community as an educational hub since its creation? Well, I'm one of the most recent members of both community and core members, and I guess its impact has been pretty positive. Of course, we want this impact to be bigger, but I guess the greatest example of this is myself. I started as an occasional community contributor with some videos and images and stuff like that. And I started getting involved to the point where I'm here today with you. And there are another great examples of community being positively impacted by ZecHub's work. I would like to mention Papeles a Color. She is another community contributor, and now you can see her search in the store where she designs. She creates designs for the store you can use on your apparel, and she even started her own website. With all the resources she gathered, all the Zec she gathered from the community work, from the work, she started her own website and started boosting her local business with this work. And there's a lot of more people that has been involved in ZecHub, especially in the work, and they have seen this impact. They have learned. They are now an active part of the community, and they are contributing whenever possible. Examples like my first Zcash, so many things that are happening that came from ZecHub collaboration and inspired these members to do a little more, to try to find a bigger role inside the community.
All right, guys, unless there's anything else you'd like to say, I think we covered everything. I want to thank everyone for their time. This journey has been amazing, and it wouldn't have worked any other way, down from the initial ideas presented to the community who really stepped forward. And I know there's a lot of people behind the scenes that are helping us, and I really, really appreciate it. And I can't say thank you enough. This project is meaningful for me, and I love working on it, and I hope to continue it into the future.
Thank you. Me too. By the way, after the my first Zcash presentation, please join us in Discord, in the global Discord. We're going to be like recapping the whole event.
Thanks everyone for your support and for being around, and hope we see you in the ZecHub community every single day we're working there. It's been fun. It's been a pleasure.
Premise is Advancing Peace Through Education and Mass Adoption Alliance, a nonprofit dedicated to youth education about decentralized cryptocurrencies and financial privacy. The premise is Advancing Peace Through Education and Mass Adoption. I invite you to visit our website, to give us a follow on Twitter, and think about how the Alliance could help bring an idea you have in mind to fruition. Let's connect. I've been part of the Zcash community for about 6 years or so, and I feel like this is a very special moment in my Zcash journey. I'm incredibly proud to say that Mass Adoption Alliance has successfully shepherded this first Zcash book from concept to version 1 completion through a truly global Zcash community effort. The goal from inception was creating a community-built go-to instructional guide for methodically educating Zcash newcomers and also helping existing Zcashers advance their understanding. When I started this project, I wasn't sure what the community response would be. You know, it's like anything. You put the idea out there, cross your fingers, and hope that others will agree that this might be a good idea too. Now, from the very beginning, I kind of set the bar high. I had very high expectations, and we had a short timeline to get us here to completion by ZconV. So from concept to ZconV, we had 56 days to make this happen. This sheet became the laundry list of tasks that owners needed to, check in on. It offered a volunteer link next to corresponding tasks. It was the hub, really, for defining progress, delays, completion, and ownership. Okay, so I want to mention a few things that struck me right from the beginning. The first thing is that this is really a unique community in terms of talent. There's a volume of talent, it's top talent, it's globally recognized talent, and there's also a lot of love. Love for Zcash, friendships that span continents and years, and really a deep respect for one another. And those elements of love, friendship, and respect combined in this project to establish a level of commitment that was really evident from day one. My first Zcash was really blessed right from the start because we had support and guidance from several community champions like ZecHub, ZFAV, Zcash Foundation's Decentralist Dan, Discord's admin Vito. They all mentored me and welcomed me in those first weeks and really helped me get the word out across their channels. And you know what? They were there all the way through the evolution of this project, right until the final My First Zcash weekly sync in Discord. I felt pretty loved, and that counted for a lot in my book. Please check out the acknowledgments at the front of the book when we release it in just a few minutes here for some other important shout outs as well. All we had when we started out was this spreadsheet of open tasks, a volunteer form link highlighted on the slide here, and a lot of optimism. So yes, there were some doubters. They were asking, can we really do this? But I really felt like we could do this. We could get this concept piece over the finish line before ZconV if we work together. And we did. Okay, now crossing the finish line is great, but the way we did it, these metrics, which capture how many people were involved, were what really makes this project a true success in my mind. By the numbers, there were approximately 38 major tasks, 23 major participants, 60 total volunteers encompassing, every task. And get this, approximately 700 volunteer hours were committed to this project in total. Isn't that incredible? I feel like it's amazing. I'm so grateful to all of our volunteers. In addition to community volunteers, additional donations of time, talent, and collateral were received from Zcash Foundation, Electric Coin Company, and ZecHub. I'm really humbled by the kindness and generosity that just poured into this project from so many people and so many organizations. Okay, so where are all of these volunteers located? The short answer is everywhere. Volunteers self-reported by dropping a pin on this map. This represents 12 countries, 5 continents, and I think is really an impressive representation of Zcashers worldwide. I feel like this project emulates the true spirit of ZconV. My first Zcash, it is Zcash unified. Now, realistically, seeing this project through required a lot of work from some key people who volunteered to be part of the project, including my fellow presenters here today. Surprises along the way included how well this project resonated, especially with Zcashers who had never before actively participated. Also, it was wonderfully surprising how committed volunteers were to hitting all of these ambitious completion dates. And perhaps most surprisingly of all was that volunteer commitment was in the absence of a bounty. I mean, this is huge, right? I never did determine what specific ZecHub bounty task payouts would be because things were just moving so quickly. I kept pushing that to the side. And after a while, it was so fascinating. Nobody cared. It was so secondary to volunteers that were pouring into the project. I would mention I didn't know what the bounty was. I'm not sure. This might all be just pure volunteerism. And no one seemed to mind. They were still as gung-ho without a bounty as they were if one were right in front of them. So what I learned is that Zcashers just wanted to see this project be successful. A lot of the volunteers have plans for this workbook in their own communities. So they had their own reasons to make this book happen. For me, that was the most exciting element, right? Mass adoption in its purest grassroots form. One insight I took away from the entire experience was a notable correlation between the amount of volunteer opportunity available and attendance levels at our weekly syncs. So as those volunteer spots started to fill up on those task sheets, the one I showed you there, as those volunteer spots started to have owners associated with them and the volunteer spots dwindled, so too did the number of people attending the meetings. What that meant to me was that Zcashers want to engage. When the opportunity is no longer available, they stop joining the calls. So as you'll see later in this presentation, my first Zcash will continue to provide so many ongoing opportunities to make a difference. So stick around to hear about those. Okay, now for the moment we've all been waiting for, the big reveal. Version 1 of the My First Zcash workbook is now live on GitHub. Go ahead and download your copy now. And as you begin to pore over the content, please know that dedicated content creators like Paku made this book possible. And Paku, the floor is yours.
All right, well, thank you for having me here. Yes, as you said, this book was in many people's plans. Like, I joined Zcash community in 2019, and I've heard of like the desire of making a Zcash book, and because we've always had like a great and excellent cryptography protocol, but we didn't have a book that could accompany more novice or other people that are not super into cryptography. So it was something that everybody wanted, but maybe we didn't have somebody like you at mass adoption that could like direct and orchestrate all of this effort. So it was super crucial to this book coming out, have that work of coordinating and making people be together towards this goal. And so, and my slides are about like why this content matters. Myself as a ecosystem developer, I work with every team in the Zcash ecosystem. I work with CF, ECC, Zengo, Y Wallet, Unstoppable, Edge, and it's a pleasure and a privilege. And I could notice I also teach classes at college of introduction to blockchain, and we cover privacy with Zcash because obviously is the I believe that it is the most advanced privacy preserving cryptocurrency that we have at the moment. And yeah, Zcash is awesome, and we all know that privacy matters. Every day it matters even more. And most people think that if they're private using crypto, like any crypto, and maybe it's because of like the name cryptocurrency is, it could be kind of like advertising more privacy than the open ledger of Bitcoin or Ethereum or the other transparent ledger coins actually provide. And when I was like trying to onboard all of these students, or any time we needed to onboard a new developer into our ecosystem, it was hard to get you know, down to earth, easy to chew up content for Zcash. It basically went like from 0 to 200 miles in a few seconds. So the learning curve of Zec was always like super steep to my view, or my point of view, I guess. So, and the learning resources were sort of like scarce, and unfortunately we're, you know, I'm saying this in the past tense because we're advancing the contents we have for Zcash knowledge base even further with this book. I like to do a shout out for ZecHub people, which are doing a tremendous job in like gathering a lot of Zcash knowledge around the web on their hub, and the contribution they did to this book is also huge. And Zcash needs to be more approachable because privacy is hard. So it's good to have contents for everyone, for every level, for experts and for beginners. And what are the potential readers of my first Zcash? I guess it's mainly like everyone, because no matter who you are, there's a portion of it that will be useful to you. If you're a student or a beginner and you're getting your feet wet in crypto, and you start to wonder about privacy, this book is definitely for you, because it will go from the zero to hero, as they say, and it will introduce the concepts of crypto, like the first principles, because we are using my first Bitcoin base of the book, which was, to give credit to the author, very well structured and with really solid metaphors and examples that we could use as a baseline to work for my first Zcash. If you're an educator, this book is really good for you to set up some workshops and classes at your institution or whatever you teach, whether it's a school or just a meetup, it's super useful for you because it gives you a roadmap and a set of exercises that are approachable to each level. And when your students are progressing in the content, they'll be able to have like more complete exercises to learn about Zcash and crypto and self-custody crypto as well. For promoters, advocates, ambassadors, enthusiasts that wants to spread the Zcash word all around the world, it's also very useful because it has a lot of materials that you can pick up and choose. Because maybe you won't say, hey, read a book. Tell someone to read a whole book. Maybe it's not the more appealing thing for everybody, but it has a lot of materials that you can actually use to create your own content. And the licensing of the book is allowing you to, so it's super important. And if you're an expert, this is, maybe everything about the book and everything what's in it, but the book has this special flavor that it has been thought around beginners. If you're an expert and you know a lot, or you wrote the protocol, this book will be useful for you because you could just use it as a resource to make your super advanced knowledge be approachable to people at the elevator, to somebody you meet and asks you, what do you do every day, or what you're working on, and you can use this resource as something to help you, fill that gap between a super expert in cryptography and like the usual people that are just like hearing about crypto and want to know a little bit more. So I hope that you all enjoy the book. Everyone has made a tremendous effort and put a lot of energy and hopes and dreams to make it a reality. So my best wishes for everyone, and shout out for all the content creators, people that made the proofreading, and there are a lot of more things coming that we will probably talk about. And also to all of the designers and to all of the people that work on the layout and the art. I'm super grateful because like I just had to worry about the content, and like my chapter, which is the wallet chapter, looks awesome. So thank you very much. I guess that at least I give the mic back to you.
Thanks, Paku. Your chapter is fabulous. I'm a big fan of your chapter. It's just gorgeous content, and I'm really excited for it to be out in the world to help advance adoption. And I really have to thank you for all of your time and effort. I feel like it's really going to make a difference for a lot of people. And speaking of fabulous, it is my pleasure to introduce the project's creative director, responsible for managing all of the page layout across the entire book. Minnie, the floor is yours.
Hey everyone, I'm Minnie I'm designer from Zcash Brazil design team since 2022. And when Elise first appeared on Discord asking for help with the idea of writing a book in 56 days, at the moment I didn't know whether I should volunteer or not because of the deadline. I knew it wasn't impossible, but it was tight. So I was observing if anyone was continue with design work with her, but I didn't see anyone. I knew I was capable, so I decided to take on this challenge. So I had to talk to Yogi, my husband, and we talked about our tasks at Zcash Brazil and rearranged our work. But now wasn't 56 days anymore. This book was a very special and challenging project, not only because of the tight time, but also because I work with a team whose skills I don't yet know, which remind me of the trusting relationship I experienced when I first heard about Zcash in 2022. So let's the target, young adults. After defining the target, we needed to lay out that playfully illustrated narrative, combining art and functionality. First approach was trying a comic book, but we saw that adapting the text and creating characters would be unfeasible in the proposed time frame. Second approach, a format more didactic and easy to read. Let's do it. So the cover was a tribute to Zero Fifth cypherpunks, who made Zcash possible, represented by Zero. Through the book, I realized that illustrations made one by one also be unfeasible, and putting images from banks would generate a lot of mention. So we decided to generate EA images to the whole book. Thanks to Geffen, Zero Darts, and Yogi, that besides the chapters, create beautiful images through this tool. We decided to a font that is good to read online and printed. And now the logo, the creation of logo project. The logo design was thinking in blocky format, representing blocks of blockchain. And my first in a font that reminds a monochromatic screen of old computers. And the colors used was the Zcash logo type. We really want to this project was a very special and challenging project because we have so short time, and I saw Elise so excited with this book, and that that impacted everyone that was involved on this project. I want to thank everyone, Elise in particular, who was patient with every step of the process. Thank you, everyone.
Thank you, Minnie. Your hours and months of hard work and true commitment to this project was really the secret to its success. So I thank you from the bottom of my heart. You were really the magic that brought everything together into this beautiful book that it's become. Our final presenter today is Ice, a high schooler working with Mass Adoption Alliance to inspire the next generation to learn about Zcash. So Ice, the floor is yours. Take it away.
Hi everyone, I'm Ice, a junior in high school, and I'm very interested in majoring in computer engineering as I begin applying for college. To start, I'm so unbelievably excited and honored to be here to discuss some of my ideas to help expand the audience for my first Zcash. I truly believe that spreading the information to high schools and informing kids about the importance of their financial privacy is crucial. And amazingly enough, my first Zcash provides a way to learn about this and enjoy doing it. That is why I'm in the process of creating a My First Zcash club with the help of Mass Adoption Alliance at my high school, and I hope to inspire others to do so as well. But starting a club isn't very simple. To start, you have to get approved by your school. That means talking to a teacher or filling out some paperwork. No approval, no club. Simple as that. And speaking of teachers, in my section, I advise students to find a fun one to be your advisor. Trust me, it makes all the difference. They can help the members learn about Zcash and make the club meetings more exciting and inviting for new members. Once you've got that all sorted, it's time to spread the word. Post some flyers, talk to your friends, even consider using social media. The more the merrier. And when it comes to our meetings, we can keep it laid back. No need to stress out over complicated stuff. We can take it slow, talk about what we've learned, and maybe even elect some club officers to help out. I plan to read about a chapter every meeting and to do the exercises throughout the book together as a club. By the end of the year, we'll look back on all the cool stuff we've done and even earn a Zcash as a reward for finishing the book. It's like a party with a purpose. So yeah, I plan to make this club awesome. We can learn about privacy, connect with our peers, and have fun. My First Zcash provides an overwhelming amount of possibilities for high schoolers, and I intend to use it. Thank you.
Hey, thank you, Ice. I can't stop smiling. I'm so excited to watch you grow your schools, My First Zcash Club, and inspire additional schools to do the same. Congratulations, and let's keep growing the club together. Keep me posted. We'll stay in touch here. As My First Zcash begins taking on a life of its own, our global community with so many Zcashers involved and inspired by the resources we're developing, kind of decided, hey, we need some merch. So thanks to ZecHub, we have this very cool merch collection available for purchase, designed by Minnie, I might add. Any proceeds above the cost benefit ZecHub. And I'm thinking I have to place my order for a bucket hat before those run out. Those are super cute. So I'm going to pivot to what's next. There's so much ahead, and the amazing thing is that so many of the volunteers are already on board to get moving with what's coming next. This community, right? We're really, really able to accomplish amazing things together, and it's just so impressive. What happens next? Version 2. Right now we have version 1. That's what you just downloaded. Version 2 is tackling additional improvements. Okay, let's talk about version 2. We'll be actively asking for feedback about version 1 to begin with. That's the publication we just released. There will be improvements. If you find some lorem ipsum, is that how you say it? It would not surprise me because we are moving at lightning speed. I'm not kidding. It's possible that, you know, there are edits that need to happen. We'll tackle those improvements as they're submitted and determine a process for maintaining the electronic version of this book over time. And then we'll get working on sharing it across the English-speaking community. What happens next? Version 3. This one will take shape quickly. We'll be taking that now perfected copy, getting it print ready. Mass Adoption Alliance will be finding the right publisher, leading outreach to professors, universities, high school financial literacy clearinghouses. The end goal is getting this book into communities and classrooms at high schools and universities worldwide. We can do this, I have no doubt. After that, we're going to work on translations. Okay. I have to be honest with you about this. The number of volunteers willing to provide translation has been overwhelming. I mean, look at this. 14 languages represented across our volunteers, spanning the globe. We have 21 translation volunteers already clamoring to get to work on this version 4 translation. In this iteration, we'll decide which languages we should focus on initially. Then we'll select, kind of identify language leads, create a process, a timeline. We're going to make it happen. We are aiming for maximum global reach for this content. Our call to action here is real simple. Join us. We're over in Discord. Join the conversation. Come to those weekly meetings. Fill out the volunteer form so you can be matched with something you're interested in doing. We need your ideas, your talent, your enthusiasm to keep moving all of this forward. I hope to see you over there. You're invited. And hey, don't go away, because after the Q&A today, we're going to keep ZCon going. If you're watching us live, join the ZconV recap in Zcash Global Discord and stay tuned for the after party featuring new music from Johnny Zcash. I'll see you there. Thanks, everyone.
interested to talk about? Like, what were some of? Oh, I was uh, I was wondering what people were interested to talk about.
Thank you, Ryan, for the invitation. Get well soon, please. And well, it's very glad to me be here with this amazing group of people, my family, my Zcash family. Thank you. Uh, that was a great Zcon. I really enjoyed that. Squirrel.
Thank you, Roosevelt. Yeah, I loved it. It was a great event. I was just maybe wondering what were some of everyone's favorite events. Then we can kind of like find clips from some of them and check them out.
It's amazing. It's amazing that contest. I want to see who will win when we know the champions of that contest. And in WOBA, the leader, the ranking of Zcashers active members was on fire too. It's great. It's great to see the people more active with the events of Zcash.
Yeah, I think the total for the prize came to like 250 ZEC now, is it? So it'll be pretty interesting to see what happens, who wins.
And well, this is the recap in English. I want to tell you that next Monday we have the recap in Español in the Zcast channel at YouTube. You can join us, please, to talk in Spanish. You can practice your Spanish, please. the next Zcon will be in Spanish in Mexico.
Yes, that's ZCon 6 happening. Is it early 2025?
Mm-hmm.
Looking forward to it. So yeah, the sort of aim for this recap is to really communicate with the audience. What were some of everyone's favorite moments throughout the event? We're curious to know. Unfortunately, yeah.
We have in the audience, we have all the speakers. We have Elise, Paul, Josh. I want to hear another people. I want to hear Segmek. I want to hear Aura, Pio. What they think about the Zcon, your favorite moments.
Yeah, can I invite you guys to the stage? If you're willing to come up, I will. I don't know how to do this. Somehow invite you.
If don't want to speak, and write at the chat. Okay.
Hey all, I'm outside, but just to talk briefly. I really like the Kurt talk because in the last ZCon we started saying about how the importance of being to have a balance between the policies and the private blockchains and private preserving protocols. And this one, remember for me also that we need to continue this balance and also to keep our ecosystem sustainable. So that's it. That was my favorite moment from this ZCon.
Thanks, Pierre. Yeah, that was actually a really good one. The regulatory and policy meeting, like the major takeaway. I think someone else said it in the chat at the same time as me, but the main takeaway that I got from it was, I guess Paul. Was it Peter van Valkenburg? Kind of saying that everyone in the space should be considering like talking to a lawyer about what they're doing. I find it kind of interesting that like Zcash already is very cognizant of the messaging that we're putting out there, right? Like I think it was mentioned that it was partly due to some of the messaging from the Samurai Wallet Twitter channels, or I don't know how they were communicating, but I guess the powers that be found that the way they were talking about their product was it had something to do with the reason like it was taken down. And so yeah, I thought it was really important that that's something that we should know as community members, is like to approach communication responsibly. That was something that I took away from it. I think we do have Paul with us. I don't know how to invite him to the stage, but if you're willing to speak on the on that session, please do come up.
James, Yogi, Dan, you can share with us your what you think about this Zcon. Your favorite moments. My favorite moments was some of them, or my first Zcash. I have I was waiting for my first Zcash. I really proud of ZecHub thing. Okay. I really love the conversation about wallets. It was very impressive to me. I have very moments. I want to know the moments of the other people here. Please share with us. In the chat, my first cash ever.
I thought the wallet landscape presentation was pretty interesting as well. Hearing the very differing approaches that each of those developers were kind of taking. It was really interesting.
Yeah, Squirrel is very interesting. The name of that conference, the landscape. I really think that is right now in 2024 we have a landscape. In the past years, okay, we remember Wallet, okay, but now we have a really landscape, and with a landscape, I think that we have a big responsibility to share all the wallets, the functionality, the features, and it's a lot of work for the ZecHub and all the community. What do you think?
Yeah, it's really important, and like we can talk about Zcash in like an abstract way. I was thinking about this today, but what it really truly comes down to is people making transactions on Zcash wallets, right? That's what the whole thing is.
Yeah, let me chime in here. Hey, everybody. Well, about the landscape, the title of the talk is I want to give credit to the ZconV organizers, because even though I had the honor of being the chair and the moderator among these like super important speakers, it was an idea from the organizers of ZconV, which I just happened to ping the people, and everybody jumped in like less than 24 hours. Like everybody was like jumping into this ship and being super responsive to make that panel possible. So it was a lot of work from the foundation people, from the organizers, and from the panelists themselves that were flexible enough, because we were spread across the world, and the world is round and has a lot of time zones. So I hope that I like and I love that you have enjoyed it as much as I did.
Thanks, Paco. I think the same. People may think that this icon was virtual. Oh, it's easy to Danica, Dan, all the team. Oh, it's very easy. I think that they make a great job. This was a really huge logistic. The communication, the streaming is very complicated sometimes, and I want to congratulate. I want to read the chat. Yogi says that I love learning more about regulation. Regulation is important thing in this moment. I think the people need to know more about regulation. Paul say very important things about. I really recommend to look about his podcast. It's a very important theme about Squirrel.
Yeah, regulation was one of the most important talks that I think we had during this ZCon. It still kind of feels that like we're in an unsure, like in terms of regulation. Yeah, please do jump in. I don't know how to bring you up though, Paul.
The pool at the chat, Squirrel.
I can't unmute. I don't know how to bring Paul up. 1 second.
Dismad says that I still need time to watch everything. That is a very a lot of conference. Triple Yugu. I want to play with the Zenith. The same. I think the same. Zenith was a very interesting stuff to me. I didn't know nothing about, and I think that is a good wallet to geeks, to curious people. I think. Noam, tons of great content this year.
Hey everybody, I think I'm on now. Can you hear me?
Yeah, Paul, go ahead.
Hey, great to be here. Thanks for organizing this recap. It was a really good week. I enjoyed it, loved all the sessions. So interesting, and learning about all the wallets and everything. I just found it outstanding. Yeah, and I appreciate the fact that everybody's so focused and interested in the regulatory environment, the policy and regulatory environment. It's been especially tricky lately, and I think that discussion with the group there where we had all four of us together, it was pretty cool. I really enjoyed kind of chairing and facilitating that group. So happy to give any additional insights here if there's any questions.
Thanks, Paul. Let's check the chat. Danica is a star. Regulation by enforcement. Day 2 was huge. Really, I think the same.
Paul, do you have any thoughts on how the compliance features that John proposed might help with regulations or might help with favorable policy regarding private cryptocurrencies?
Yeah, I think John is being very prudent and making sure that as he's implementing the ZSAs and making sure that all the capabilities for compliance and regulatory compliance are there. It's not something that you can take lightly. You have to take it very, very seriously. And as he noted, if ZSAs are implemented and we could have a stable coin on the Zcash protocol, that would be a first ever. It would be really a significant thing. And it would almost certainly get a ton of regulatory scrutiny. And we just have to be careful if we're going to go down that path. So I really appreciate the fact that he's focused on it. I know he's got good counsel. I've talked to people that are working with him that I know are super smart in the space. So yeah, I understand that for some people it might not be so comfortable for us to have to go down that path, but it's required. I really do think so.
I think the best quote from the entire event was J.W. Verrett when he said, like, from Band of Brothers, we're paratroopers, we're supposed to be surrounded.
That was pretty cool for sure.
I have some question for Paul or Arya. Do you follow the regulation in Latin America? Here we have people from Brazil and from Venezuela, Argentina too. What do you think about the regulation in these countries?
Yeah, I really don't, to be honest with you. So I really couldn't speak to it. I have my hands full with what I'm trying to do here in DC and in the US, trying to just keep track of that environment and a little bit in the EU. But I'd love to hear if anybody has any updates on that.
I think that Paco knows very, very well the situation in Argentina. Here in Venezuela is very difficult to talk about, but it's an interesting thing talk the regulation in Latin America, I think. Paco, go ahead.
Yeah, if I can be brief, I say that the particular situation in Latin America to have in consideration in terms of like regulatory strategy is the most prominent financial institutions, like world financial institutions that have a lot of influence in Latin America. I think the first one would be the IMF. In one way or besides Argentina, that we are always like with the water above the neck with the IMF, and we're at the moment super controlled by them and overseen. Then the rest of the countries do have some level of debt with that institution as well, and also like the World Bank and all other like financial development institutions that loan money to the different states, and they have a strong branches into the political system of each of the countries. So a good way to steer the conversation about regulation around crypto and crypto assets, as the IMF likes to call everything crypto, is to actually talking with those institutions and instead of maybe focusing that much in each country political structure, because unfortunately, and I say this really, really sadly and with a lot of sorrow, is that our countries are controlled by this huge financial institutions like the IMF. So I don't know, like Venezuela and what extent, but like or Brazil, but then the rest of the countries are actually very influenced by the technicians and the delegates of the IMF in every country. So I would aim to discuss policy and regulation with those institutions first, because unfortunately and sadly they do have a lot of influence there, and the IMF doesn't like crypto at all. At least that's what they say publicly. So I will aim there first. And also, I don't know, I will vouch for countries to start mining and staking cryptocurrencies into the central banks to actually have a lot of assets there that are not like reliant on the US dollar, so that you cannot, break ties with those financial institutions that somehow control our financial system as well.
Thanks, Paco. Dan, you want to say something? Well, here in Venezuela, in this moment, we don't have head. We don't have never an regulatory. SUNACRIP is the department of that, and in this moment it's closed. In this moment, we have a blackout about crypto regulation in Venezuela. We here only talk about elections in the next month. We have to wait about is the situation here.
I'm pretty curious about the is it called the Petro, like a digital currency for Venezuela?
Yeah, it's complicated, but we always, when we talk about, we always talk about education too, in the same, because it's very important. Even we don't have we don't have regulation about. People have curiosity. People ask. And when we always are doing workshops or initiatives to spread the word about Zcash or other cryptocurrencies. We have to continue to talk with the people.
I thought I heard that the Petro was discontinued, or that project ended. Last I heard.
The Petro is dead.
And you kind of see that a lot. Like a lot of these central bank digital currencies launch and they just don't get adoption or use. Like I think it's called DCEP, the one in China. People like are pretty reticent to use it. And the e-Naira also isn't getting much use. So I don't know where that's headed, but thanks for joining, Josh.
Let's talk about the future. The future. I really love the Sure conference. Tatiana is here. Let me check. Use Zcash. I think that is Tatiana. Tatiana talked very interesting numbers about adoption. Maybe we think, oh, that is the truth. What do you think about, guys? What do you think, Squirrel? Someone wants to say something about the numbers that Tatiana shared to us. Very interesting numbers. Hello, Tatiana.
Oh, wait. I think let me invite her to the stage. Hold on. Welcome.
Welcome, Tatiana.
Hey, everyone.
Hey. Yeah, could you like describe? I think I got a bit lost during your presentation. You kind of split your respondents into different categories. Could you kind of just go over that once more?
Could you clarify a little bit? Because I split them into all kinds of categories.
Exactly.
Are you talking about users who transact, holders that transact versus holders that don't transact? Because that's probably the main one. Yeah.
Yeah. And I think there was like people who transact are more likely to recommend using Zcash.
Oh yeah. So holders who transact in Zec are far more likely to recommend Zcash as a whole, which means holding and transacting in Zec, than people who don't, than holders that don't transact. So yeah, it is true.
Pretty interesting.
Squirrel, Tatiana talk about cab drivers, cookies, Sheila, the adoption here in Venezuela and other countries. The conversations with Tatiana are very interesting to discover new frontiers of mass adoption. That's the challenge, Tatiana, right?
Yeah, and I think her conclusion that was like made a big impact was that if we don't understand the needs of the current Zcash users, there is no way that like with mass adoption that we would ever do it right. So it's most important to understand what current Zcash users kind of want and need, and then we can move from there. That's kind of what I took from it. Is that right, Tatiana?
Yeah, that's absolutely it. Mass adoption is just such a big phrase. Nobody really knows how to get there. It's like, yeah, every project wants to achieve mass adoption, but it's a process, and there are some smaller steps that need to be taken. And early adopters are that. Like, you have to have a usable product. So yeah, it's not a step that you can skip. Like, you can't build something that people want without asking them what they want. And it's scary to think about all the little things that go into such large goals, but we just have to do it, and we have the resources to do it. Like, this incredible community is volunteering so much information. Like, in any other in a regular company, you have to pay for this kind of research, and here people are just stepping up and spending so much time, investing so much time. I've never seen anything like this. So it's a really, I can't stress this enough, like how important this community will be to the adoption of Zec. So it's and Zcash in general. So yeah.
Cheers. One of the big items that I was hoping for in the Zcash wallet landscape was zip 321. But so far, I think like Zashi is doing like a bunch of things. I actually researched, well, not researched. I went onto the website for Radom crypto purchases, the gift card thing, and it was like stunning. So I'm really looking forward to that, Josh. Is there anything else you think can go into Zashi? I know you talked about like a possible Zashi Pro. Like, what are we thinking in terms of features for Zashi? Oh, we've got Chris and Paku.
Hey. Yeah, so for Zashi, again, the intention is to build a full stack user experience. So what we mean is that people are able to easily access, have access to and use Zcash in ways that make sense for them in their context. And that's all kind of available through an interface, right? That's all available through a wallet without them having to think too much. So there's things that we want to put in the basic version in terms of onboarding and making gift card purchases and things like that, where we've heard a lot from users that they just, that they want that ability to have additional utility in the wallet. And then we hear from some users who are like, we want to have all kinds of power to tweak things, and we want to store things in hardware devices, and we want to make sure with Zashi, with the version that we have out there now, that it's really super easy to onboard and use and share with a friend, and so that they can come in and they don't have to think about it. It just kind of removes a lot of complexity. But then the people that want to have all kinds of bells and whistles in order to have greater control, that maybe that's more appropriate for a pro product, so that you can kind of migrate. We kind of back and forth in terms of a pro product or whether that's called a vault or something like that. But that's something we'll explore more in July at our next planning.
So that's what the pro is. It's the that vault thing that you posted.
Yeah.
Nice.
Whilst
we've got, sorry, Chris.
I just wanted to sort of riff on that a little bit. So, I think that there's just a tremendous space of available applications that get based on the Zcash chain, and the access to all of that functionality is going to be through wallets. And so, the sort of Zashi Pro split seems like a really good starting point because, Pro offers a bunch of if Pro offers a bunch of features that are not available in the base Zashi, then it's a platform where you can start getting functionality out there. But I think that thinking about the capabilities that we can offer in terms of either a proliferation of wallets or, I don't know, like maybe in a pro version of Zashi at some point in the future, or a pro version of some wallet, you could actually have pluggability where you can install chain-based applications to further extend the functionality, just because there's so much that you can do with the Zcash chain, with memos, with ZSAs coming up, with atomic swaps, that you're not going to be able to really contain that in a single product, but maybe you can contain that within something that allows extensibility and allows just third parties to say, hey, I have this idea for this protocol that I can implement and bring it online. And that's ultimately with if we eventually get to shielded programmability, then you've got to have something along those lines.
If I may, I have like kind of a product request for Saji. Like, one thing that always happens to me is that when we talk about how gift cards are great to purchase stuff using crypto, one thing happens to me all the time is like I have the privilege of like kind of like being opt in to privacy into some like day-to-day purchases. So it happens to me that when it was like recently in the US, like visiting friends and family, I saw a lot of stores that I could actually purchase with gift cards, and then like I always like figure it out after the fact. So it was like I left the store, as you cross the door, you are reminded of something, like your subconscious tells you something you were forgetting about. So I crossed the door out, outside the store, and say, oh, I could have purchased the gift card for this. So I guess that gift cards are awesome, and what we could aim to is that we could have some sort of relay system that also serves to people like me who like forget about stuff all the time, and that they would have really loved to use a gift card, but they didn't plan to, or they didn't have like the mindfulness to be on a plan to purchase something. So I guess that will take it to a whole different level, because if we could like integrate something that is more seamless to use Zec, it will like be a super option. Maybe that is a little bit private than gift cards, but it's still private enough that it's convenient and useful and private.
Hey Paku, isn't that kind of what Flexa does? Like Flexa integrates with existing gift card systems, but you can pay from your crypto balance.
Oh yeah, that could definitely be something like that as well, or maybe like instant. It could be like instant credit cards that you can issue, something like that, for stores that maybe flex size something like a little bit too US based, or but yeah, totally. It happens to me that that I'm not really good at planning those kind of things, so I like end up like acting in the heat of the moment, and maybe I miss a lot of opportunities of being more intelligent about my financial privacy.
Yeah, I think I'm in the same boat. Gift cards are kind of like the when someone like gives you a gift card for Christmas and you don't use it for 4 months, kind of that. It takes planning. So we did. I'm not sure if Gnome Chom is still here. Unfortunately, I missed that entire like dev fund discussion. I don't know if anyone can come up and summarize what happened for me. Would love to hear that.
I mean, I could summarize, but I actually prefer not to. Like, as a participant, you know, you get caught in the mix of everything going on, and so it'd be great to hear from somebody that wasn't on that panel, what their thoughts or takeaways were from it.
Welcome, Noam. You want to share something?
I think you may have stepped away. Let me check the. Does anyone want to come on stage? Just let me know in the chat, and I'll bring you up. But yeah, I guess for the moment, I would like to give a. Okay, we've got one hand up. From somewhere, Paku.
Squirrel, the dev fund speech was very interesting too. It's a topic that some people was talking in the Zcash community in Espanol and in the forum. That is a hot topic.
Right. And a very important one.
Yeah.
Yeah, I was not a panelist, so maybe I can. I'm not sure I can be really like be synthetic about it. But first, I wanted to publicly congratulate Noam Chom for like stepping up, because it takes a lot of courage to be sort of an anom and like stepping up in the conference. I know that other people that have proposals were offered to be in the panel and they declined. So I think that I just wanted to say thank you, Noam Chom, for stepping up, being another voice in the community, and like stepping up for your proposal and defend it and talk about it. So that being said, I think that the debt fund panel was interesting in terms of like we could see that there are many proposals in terms of how to continue with funding, and that the idea of no debt fund apparently, as I see it, has like lost strength. Like many people that were reluctant to have a debt fund started to think about, hey, no, maybe the problem was not the debt fund, the problem was how it was implemented, and I think that we should implement it in this other way. Accountability was one. I think that one of the themes of the panel was like that how to make the debt fund not be a blank check. It was a lot discussed about who the recipients should be, how the governance would actually steer the funds and the different objectives along the time, the years and months of the debt funds, how the debt fund itself should be like used and all, and I think that one key thing I could learn in the panel was that there is a growing consensus about funding being important, and that something has to be done about it, that it cannot be left to coincidence, chance, or generosity from random contributors, but the protocol needs to be funded somehow that lets everybody know that there's some stability in terms of the funding stream for the contributors, not in terms of revenue, but in terms of like resources.
And yeah, in terms of like finding where community consensus is on some of these important topics, I think as it related to ZSF, Jason McGee kind of proposed that maybe it'd be good, or I think he was willing to like go to all the different communities like Zcash Brazil, Zcash Espanol, ZecHub, perhaps the forum, Zcap, and create polls on each of these places and kind of get their opinion on ZSF. How do we find consensus on the dev fund thing? Like, how do we choose? How do we know what the community wants?
I think polls is the way. Is the better way. The forum is the center of the community, and that's always we always at the community in Espanol says the people read the forum, be active, read all the news, because it's very important. I think the forum is the center, is the heart.
Yeah, troll central.
That's it. Yeah.
Can I bring Elise up? I would very much like to talk about my first Zcash, and it's the first time I've seen it today, and it's amazing. It's I'm in shock of how. Can you guys see the screen, by the way?
Yeah, my first Zcash.
This is incredible. Okay, let me invite you on. Hold on. Okay, welcome, Elise.
Oh, now can you hear me?
Yep.
Welcome.
All
Elise.
right. Hey, everybody. Happy ZconV. This was really an amazing conference, I thought. I just am so impressed just across the whole ecosystem. I was going to say I'm so impressed with the organizers of the conference. That's true. I'm so impressed with all of the people that poured their love into this book. Isn't it just gorgeous? I'm seeing all of the the different comments, and I see that some people are raising issues out on GitHub, and we'll have a whole process for addressing improvements. But I just love to see everybody excited about this book. So there are so many people that got involved when I put out the call to put this book together. And if you look at the acknowledgments, that is just a snapshot of some of the major contributors to this book. Some of those people are here today, on this call. Some of them aren't. But I'm really excited that we have this as a baseline now. We have a starting point for what we can do next. So if we feel like, hey, we need a chapter on regulation, or we need to, improve or lengthen a chapter to add in some additional subject matter, we can do that. We can do whatever we want. And I hope this will really be utilized to the fullest extent possible. Paku introduced the idea at one time about printing this, getting it into university syllabi so that a professor could put it on the syllabus. Maybe the library would then stock some of these. I can see big and small ways that we can make this book useful, high school setting, university settings, your own communities, worldwide, translated, print copy, e-version, this flip book. I think the possibilities are endless. And I just have this huge list of volunteers waiting to participate in version 2. And I'd like to get everyone involved. So if you're interested, jump onto the My First Zcash room here, into that room, and fill out the the interest form. Oh yeah, thanks a lot for posting that, Josh. The GitHub version has just the static PDF, and then this flipbook allows you to do what Squirrel's doing here. Take a look through all the different pages. And Squirrel, I got to tell you, one of my absolute favorite parts of this book is actually at the very back. I want you to check out the glossary that Triple U put together for us. Yeah. This thing is just gorgeous. So he's, he volunteered, John volunteered and said, hey, I can help you with that element. And I thought, okay, sure, that'd be fantastic. But if you know him, his version of, hey, I'll just, I'll work on that and do the best I can is like my version of something that I would have worked on for weeks. It's really a spectacular compilation of every term related to Zcash. And I see John's typing. I hope he's, yeah. He, I hope you guys give him a shout out when you talk to him privately or directly. He put a lot of work into that. I have to say that the hero of this project, and there were many heroes, but the true hero of this project is Minnie. She has poured her heart and soul into the design work. And the design elements that we had to begin with were based on 2 very generous donations. One from Electric Coin Company, which was the zero collateral, Zero herself, and then all of the graphics that went with that that entire collection. And then also a donation of the Cypherpunk Zero NFTs, not the NFTs themselves, but the ability to utilize them as images in the book. And that was a donation from Zcash Foundation. I really love how this book is bringing together both of the main organizations. They're contributing, people from all around the world, 5 different continents. They're contributing. I feel like this project is where all the love lives, because there's nothing contentious about education. So I feel like I kind of lucked out that I could be part of this project. And I don't know, I would love to see Minnie come up here and tell us about all of the hard work that she did on the graphic design for this book.
Hey guys.
Elise,
a little bit emotional now.
Elise, I have a question. That's
we live far away from each other, but now we've become friends because we've spent every waking moment together.
Oh my.
Congratulations. Elise, that a definitive edition, or is only a preview for the community?
Oh, I kind of put you on the spot, Minnie. I'm real sorry.
Can you hear me?
Well, maybe we should, Minnie, do you want me to, we'll give you a minute to just, you can let me know if you, maybe this isn't the right moment. I guess I'll say that the flipbook, the service that I purchased to host that flipbook on, it shows me how many people have looked at the flipbook. It doesn't give me any analytics or anything, but it just says like number of, hits essentially. And I wish I could show you that in real time. It's super fun. I'm just sitting here, and while this meeting's been going on, I've seen the number just every minute or so ticks up. So it's really exciting to see all of the interest. So I'd be interested in hearing any suggestions that you have. Is there anything that jumps out at you right away? Like, what do you love? What do you not love about this book?
I think I'm really looking forward to like finding out if this could be used as like a curriculum for like putting something together for maybe the Zcash global ambassadors, something that they could use to take to their like local events, and it's all here. They don't need to like they could just like maybe select chapters to pull out and present. I think it could work really well.
Yeah, that was the intention, that this is a self-driving educational tool, right? Each chapter has content, it has an exercise or multiple exercises, depending on the chapter, that go along with the content. And then as you move into chapter 5, where you start learning about Zcash, the goal here is trying to really start using Zcash. And by the end of the book, you have used Zcash by, the exercises ask you to complete this exercise and then, get a small bit of Zec. And then by the end of the book, thanks to Decentralist Dan, shout out to him for this idea, by the end of the book, you've earned your first Zcash. So if you follow the book from beginning to end, that's the intention. That part still needs a little smoothing out. But you can see there are exercises there. I'll mention that chapters 1, 2, and 3 are content that came from Me Primera Bitcoin, and I did give them an acknowledgement under the Creative Commons section at the beginning of the book. I kind of had an opportunity to meet with Dahlia. She's the one who wrote Me Primera Bitcoin, which is now being delivered all across El Salvador. It's their official school curriculum. It's part of their official school curriculum now. And she loves that we're utilizing this content. And it's a beautiful, well thought out explanation of what is money. What is fiat, what is money, the history of money, what's wrong with it, and then it leads nicely into where we are today. We of course have our own angle because we're Zcashers, we're not Bitcoiners. And so you'll notice that then in chapter 4, it's the intro to Zcash, and that's a shout out, intro to Zcash, to you, Squirrel, and to Chris Tomeo for teaming up and kind of letting me strong arm you into putting that chapter, the content for that chapter together. It's a really important chapter, right? It's the jumping off point for chapters 5, 6, and 7. 5, 6, and 7 were written by, I might be one chapter off. 6, 7, and 8 were written by, experts here. So Paco, Alfredo, Merrick, those are chapters that were written from scratch about Zcash. They're beautiful. So take a look at those. And then I was really excited to get a high schooler involved, and she's all enthusiastic about her club, and so, I think it's great. And they're all following along with the conference at high school during their lunch hour. They're watching the videos. And I think that's the future of Zcash, right? So I'm really excited about this. And I'm very open to suggestions. We can take this in any direction that we want from here. I kind of mapped out a plan for version 2, 3, 4, getting those translations out into the world, and then utilizing those, creating some kind of a guideline for how to take those into your community, how to take those into your high school or your classroom. So the sky's the limit, I think, now that we have the baseline content. Is a print version available? Oh, yeah. That's a great question, Paul. The idea here is this is version 1, which has a lot of room for improvement, right? Because we want to make sure that we had a finished product ready for ZconV. That was my dream 56 days ago. And yes, we do. From here, then, we'll work on version 2, which is how can we take this and make it print ready? The layout was all done in InDesign by Minnie and Geffen and many other people, Zero Darts. I'm Yogi. I hope I'm not forgetting anyone because I'm a little, I'm sick and I'm also a little nervous here. So I might be forgetting someone, but everything is on InDesign, which means from day one, it was built for print. So at the end of version 2, we are absolutely going to be able to print this. There are a lot of, self-published publishing ideas or, outlets where we can do that. We have a few in mind. I'd like to, my background is working, with universities and publishing houses. So I'd like to see a university press pick it up. Oh, nice. Okay. I'd like to make that happen for you, Paul. Oh, nice. I like that idea, Yogi.
I just want a version for myself because it looks so good.
I like it. Well, Squirrel, you've been inspiring throughout the whole process. Your community leadership really, provided that light for me about how to take a big idea and take many participants and all go in the same direction, go together, and go far. I've really been inspired and also appreciative. I gave a little shout out there in the book because you've done a lot to really mentor me along, and I appreciate it.
Oh, it's all good. Thank you. Yes, and Yogi as well. Cheers, guys. So, did we have any questions that anyone wanted to bring up?
Noam want to talk, Squirrel.
Yeah, let me mic test.
Yeah.
Good.
Okay, this is my first time in Discord live, so
welcome.
I'm scrambling through this. This is a lot more than what I'm used to. This is a small audience, but this is, I think, a good example of a situation where I just wanted to remind, I missed a little bit of the community talk and like, how do we know what consensus is about the dev fund and other things. But I just wanted to say, like, there's 28 folks here. Each of the 28 of you should already be in ZCAP. And if you're not, go get in the thread on the forum and self-nominate. We need to expand ZCAP. It's one of the most, I think, measurable and largest polling institutions for the foundation. So just a quick recommendation there. We need to grow a lot of different institutions for measuring consensus and things like that, but ZCAP is one of the things that we've got now.
Can I ask then? I can't exactly remember your proposal from the forum, exactly what it was, but I do almost remember Josh's, which would be to have like a grants pool, and that would maybe be like a Frost thing where different organizations all sign towards projects or organizations that they're willing to fund. I did also take from the policy and regulatory session that Peter van Valkenburg was he was kind of supporting the notion that Zcash should be led or at least have these US-based non-profit organizations like the Zcash Foundation, and that they were actually very important for like for Zcash's like, so it wouldn't be shut down, right? Like there are certain rights that such an organization has. So is it still possible with Josh's like grants pool idea? Can that coexist with the Zcash Foundation as it exists today? I'd like an yeah, we've got Josh up here.
So to just chime in with my understanding is that the answer would be yes, but it would, Josh's, I think, proposal hints at how future funds get distributed. So the Zcash Foundation would still have its assets and, you know, distribute and manage for the ZCG, but it may not necessarily be receiving new Zcash income streams from the protocol. Instead, that I think Josh is proposing a larger and not centrally managed fund. You know, right now it feels like that's what we've been calling the Zcash Sustainability Fund. When Josh joins us, I think he can probably clarify this or correct my understanding.
Yeah, I mean, I think a lot of that's right. The Zcash Sustainability Fund, as it's being worked on today or designed, is different. So, you know, in that fund, that's to essentially have a mechanism that allows for long-term, you know, funding of fees, you know, to make sure that there's adequate incentives and kind of take care of the problems that we have with Bitcoin, right? Which is eventually the issuance goes to zero. It doesn't mean Giga had suggested a modification that would be inclusive of this and a certain allocation of the funding to go into that. My proposal, there's two parts. The one part is that my proposal is actually this is too complicated to figure out, and like getting community consensus and all that kind of stuff is too complicated to figure out by June or July, which is when we need to have a decision in order to get it codified in the protocol ahead of a November timeline. So if we're saying we want to have something in place for November, then we got to make a decision within weeks. And there's, I think, still a lot of conversation to be had, and I think it's just too fast to do it. So the recommendation is to continue the existing dev fund as it is, with a mandate that then we would work on kind of a new model in the long term that's more decentralized and that drives accountability. The second part of that was an idea for how that might be done, and yes, it would use, you know, Frost in the center with the KEV and multisig that could be fluid. So initially, it could be that maybe it's ZCG plus ZF plus ECC are the organizations that have keys, and maybe at some point, you know, ZecHub comes in, or maybe there's coin holder voting as soon as that's ready, and that those could be added in over time to increase the community's voice and to do it more flexibly without the kind of time constraints of happenings and things like that. So that was a proposal that I put out there. I put it out there to get like arrows, right? So like, what's wrong with it and why is it better or worse? But again, like I think those conversations, you know, need to happen without the time pressure of just a few weeks, you know, to get there.
Agreed. Don't make important decisions under pressure, is it? Or something like that?
Right.
Well, just for clarifying, yeah.
Real quick, Josh, could you explain? I think some people in the community maybe think, oh, November is actually kind of far away. And then the couple weeks thing, or even if it's a month, can you just explain that timeline process as far as like why we would have to reach some sort of decision in order for it to make its way into the protocol by November?
Yeah, because it's a hard fork, right? So the any kind of changes that get implemented, depending on what the change is, like GGuys is a little bit more complicated. They have to get they have to get written into, they have to be coded, tested, reviewed. It needs to get on testnet. It needs to go through an audit. So there's a whole, and then there's a, you know, a time for activation where the activation height gets set. We know what the activation height would be in this case, but it gets set, and there's some weeks ahead of the actual activation of the hard fork, and the kind of the readiness of that. And so there, it's just it's a spacing based upon kind of the constraints of having to do a hard fork. We have to give it more time. So if we were November, you know, we really need to have stuff locked in October, which means we need to have things, you know, codified and up there, you know, late July, early August. And these are kind of rough timelines. There's potentially some other minor things that would go into this network upgrade. We're arguing that, you know, ZSAs is too fast, and so that should be a kind of fast follow because it's still got to through auditing and that kind of thing. But maybe some smaller changes related to fees and memos and stuff like that that also have to be reviewed and kind of up there. So that's kind of the. I hope that's clarifying in some way, but it's not just like get the code in and turn the switch and we're ready to go.
Exactly. Thank you. I think that clears it. I think some folks, might think it would be like that, just press a button, but it's certainly not.
I'll add here. I would have liked to have talked more details during the Dev Fund discussion, but the conversation stayed fairly high level. Part of why I proposed, I structured mine as just a minor change to the numbers that we all know today, and I suggested adding 2 organizations. I hoped that looked relatively simple compared to what we have now. G-Guy's ideas and suggestions I think are good, but like you mentioned, Josh, there's additional complexity that needs coded to make the network able to do what G-Guy is recommending, and that certainly would put a lot of pressure on getting it in. So
I have a question for you, Noam, relatedly, if that's cool, if I can do that here. One of the things that you had proposed that I struggled with, I struggled with a couple of things. One, which hopefully is clear, which is this kind of notion of direct funding from the chain for long chunks of time without an expectation of accountability.
Yeah.
And being able to switch. The other is you wanted to codify new organizations, and the thing that I struggled with is why would you put new organizations in that haven't delivered anything yet? Like there's a promise that they might deliver something, might be great, but there's no history of delivery yet for some of those folks.
Yeah, that's there's a lot of I have a lot of belief that based on what Shielded Labs has brought to the table, which is paperwork, some research, they're leading some research efforts that would have substantial impact on the protocol in the future. Likewise with Kedit and the ZSA, direction. Those 2 organizations right now kind of look like the only ones that, to me, feel like they have a certain year or 2, if not 3, ahead of them with the ecosystem. And I think they're some of the only organizations that kind of are just engaged in protocol R&D. So they look like younger versions of the Electric Coin Company. That's why I cherry-picked them and suggested direct funding. It would be a way to kind of offset grant funding that the ZCG would eventually spend on them, and instead just kind of fund directly. So
now Kedit, you had mentioned the kind of the marriage analog. So Kedit isn't pure Zcash, right? They're doing a whole bunch of stuff, right? They launched a stable coin based on Squirrel and some other things as well.
Yeah, they're all over the place. They have an impressive footprint in the ZK, sector.
Okay, just reading the comments. Trends recommends because it's difficult to discuss this dev fund topic in the forums. He would like to see community roundtables on X or other platforms, something like a town hall where we can make proposal and have open dialogue? Philly,
Yeah. So, a while ago, Jason McGee and I were hosting town halls. I think we did about 5 of them. That sort of fell off a little bit, but I can talk with Jason or anybody else who wants to help lead those, and I think that certainly would be helpful.
It would be great. I think it adds a lot of credibility if it's like ECC and ZF or potential recipients of kind of funding didn't drive those, right? So like if it's ZecHub, or although I know that like ZecHub relies on funding, but that there is like some kind of cross community collaborations organized by the community, like these kinds of conversations that you guys are doing here, which is awesome, is that I think it'd be great to do it that way.
Agreed.
Do we have a plan for the changes in infrastructure? So there is this there are new Light Wallet D server. There's a new provider. I've forgotten what they're called, but they use this zec.rocks domain. Is there a plan to like transfer the Zcash Block Explorer API, or sorry, the Zcash Block Explorer domain? Is there a Block Explorer that the Zcash community can own and use? I haven't kept up with the forum, but has anyone got plans or ideas for how we can?
So the Light Wallet D domain is still owned by the Nighthawk team, and as far as I know at the moment, we don't have clarity on that. Paku might have some thoughts here though.
Hey, just about to leave home, but yes, we do know that yeah, the domain thing is kind of like Dan said, those are up to Nighthawk to decide what to do with them. Formally, we have as we communicated in the forums, and we got communications from Nighthawk, is that we have we expect like to have service from then until May 30th. I know that their Emersonian might be putting up a Block Explorer, but it's kind of doing this, to scratch an itch or out of like generosity and commitment to the community. I know that there's someone, a professor that works with me, that wanted to put up some infrastructure and contribute on that front, because like we were teaching privacy coins in the university, and we had a lot of problems with the public infrastructure. So he decided to step up and start like being a contributor and maybe put up a grant for it. But still, like it's good to have many things, resources around. So I guess that what I would say is that don't refrain or wait for anyone to just put up a Block Explorer. If you can do so, if you want to do some experiment, you want to learn how to put up infrastructure into the clouds, just do it. And as far as for the domains, I guess that if the community asks Nighthawk, that I guess that they will have no problem on actually like donating the domains. I don't know. And
Okay.
that's kind of the situation right now. And let's see how it develops. I think that's super important that Zcash has a Block Explorer that can actually reflect all the features that Zcash has, and also like a testnet Block Explorer that runs the mainnet clone of testnet or whatever that is, like the main testnet. And then for CSAs, for example, it will be very important that we have a second testnet that actually supports CSAs, and it's totally not backwards compatible with the testnet that is kind of a testing mainnet. So it will be super important that we have like testing infrastructure that it's up to the purposes and the goals that we're trying to achieve. So get involved.
Yeah, I'll take a look. I'll try and figure out how to fork or clone the existing Zcash block explorer. But there is one feature if someone is going to make one to broadcast a transaction. That's a pretty cool feature for a Zcash block explorer.
Yeah, I guess that if you have to follow up that feature, I guess that you should, if you're in the US, lawyer up, as the panelists said, because if your node broadcasts allows anyone to just broadcast a transaction, it's like you're a wallet or you're providing money transmission. I don't know.
Really?
I don't know. That's what I got from the panel from the legal. So I don't know what Paul might help us understand,
Well,
or Josh.
Yeah, let me add to that, because we did we have an attorney. We have lots of attorneys, but one of our attorneys is the former acting director of FinCEN, which is the financial regulator that provides guidance. Actually, kind of and they oversee, or they kind of deal with international kind of money laundering cases and things like that. So there's a few things with Samurai that were mentioned. One is certainly the language that they used, even in jest, all across Twitter, in suggesting that there might be kind of nefarious activity on the protocol. So that was very bad. But also, there's an argument, and this will be debated in court, as to whether they're running infrastructure, because they're providing a service that help facilitate the mixing, the coin joins of Bitcoin. So the more infrastructure that you put out there, the more, if you're running infrastructure, then you should consult with an attorney about the risks. I don't know that it's not a lot of black and white, but there's risks. And so we've done the same thing. We said, okay, with Zashi, we want to have reliable services in order to be able to, to access the chain. And so do we outsource that? And I've, been talking to somebody potentially about outsourcing that capability and setting up servers and things like that. But, and while it may be okay, what you do is you increase the probability that you might be considered an enterprise. And if you're considered an enterprise that's helped facilitating these kinds of transactions, right now, FinCEN's guidance, independent of what's happening with the lawsuit in New York from that district attorney, if you're not custodying assets, technically from the FinCEN guidance as it exists today, you're okay. However, that didn't prove to be the case when this attorney decided to go out and make these charges. So you just have to be very, very careful and understand your risks. And again, our attorney isn't your attorney, so don't take any of this as legal advice, other than the only advice is if you're going to run any infrastructure, talk to an attorney.
Thanks, Josh. So what if I was to run a node or an explorer on decentralized infrastructure? Because I deployed it, would I still be on the hook, or is it once it's deployed, it's just running? Who knows?
Yeah. Again, I would talk to an attorney. I would say some of this is going to kind of get flushed out in court over time. Here's the problem, right? So the problem is you have guidance with somebody like FinCEN, and so you're saying, okay, like I'm doing stuff completely legal within these guidance, and there's no issues. I'm not custodying assets. I'm not facilitating transactions. I'm totally cool. And then you have another regulator or other law enforcement say, like we don't like that. We're going to go ahead and issue a lawsuit, and it may be complete regulatory overreach. They may be out of line. They may lose in court. But the fact is that you're going to court, that you do get arrested, right? And then they may lose, but it creates a chilling effect. So it's a strategy. It creates a chilling effect across the industry, saying, well, and that's why you see like everybody shutting down, Phoenix and Lightning facilitators and things like that, saying, well, we're just not going to do this anymore. We've consulted our attorneys. We're just not going to take the risk. So that's just that's the reality of the situation that we sit in today. You're going to be very careful about what it is that you're doing and deciding whether or not you want to run that infrastructure. And the reality is that even if you think you're outside of the reach of DOJ, U.S. Legal, you're not. They have very long arms, and as we saw with Samurai, right? One of the guys was in Spain or Portugal, I can't remember, and has been extradited or is being extradited. So it's very nerve-wracking for any of us that are kind of sitting in the seats that we're sitting in. We feel really great, I will say, with high confidence, without getting into details, because it's a private conversation with us and our attorneys. Like the work that Paul has done in Washington, D.C. to build bridges, we have a very, very, very positive reputation. We have spent a lot of time briefing everybody from the White House to the DOJ to FinCEN on what we're doing and how this stuff works. Paul has worked really hard to build bridges with staffers, and reality and with US is that you got senators and congressmen, but the agendas and a lot of what they say actually comes to the staffers that do all the work. And so that network of people is really important. And Paul's been brilliant about building those connections. And so we have an outsized influence in DC based on our size and the size of our community. And we've got a really stellar reputation. So while these things are very scary and you need to consult your attorney, there's a lot of positives in DC around the project because of what we're doing and the manner in which we conduct ourselves online and in forums such as this. And so keep all the positive stuff rolling. It's really, really super helpful. And these stories that people mentioned, they were like inspired by these stories, like I am, about the real world use. The more that we can get those stories out there, the more it bolsters the aggregate story that we're telling about the reason that we're building and supporting this technology.
Yeah, it's darkest before dawn, right? Did anyone else want to come up?
Apologies if this is not the forum for the question, Josh. It was nice to see some clearer description of how like the assets Starkware, Agoric have been looked into. Is there going to be at some point in time in the future where the transparency report will show like an estimate of the spend down of those assets versus dollars versus Zcash?
Yeah, like I'm happy to do that. We're completely transparent. So here's kind of the rough outline, and hopefully it's not too boring for everybody. So we have, we've get the revenue comes in as dev fund, and the intention with the revenue from the dev fund is to be able to fund our operations. So it would be natural that we convert that to cash where we can. We have these other assets that have recently become available. I will say that ECC employees, by the way, ECC employees are required to take at least 2% of their compensation directly in Zec, but they can take up to 100% of their compensation. So we have employees that kind of have that whole range. So some take more and some take less, but it's up to the employee and kind of their personal situation. We also have something called, historically we've done our bonus structure. Rather than do like a traditional bonus structure, it's based upon you sticking around with the company and the funds are released over time. Those show up as a liability in our books and then mark to market at the time that we pay those out to employees. That's 100% in ZEC. So we have to sell some ZEC in order to cover tax obligation as part of that under US law. But that's kind of the limit of the ZEC that we've been selling recently. So we've been holding all our ZEC and using other assets first. So we have a very lopsided balance sheet where we have, as of last month, we have a significant amount of Stark tokens. Those unlock over a period of time, over 3 years. So it's 1.67% per month for the first 12 months, and then that doubles for 2 and 3. So we have, we're only able to move that many coins. So it's based upon our ability to use that as our primary funding mechanism is based upon that coin price and liquidity in the market. The Stark tokens are pretty liquid, which is great. We also have some BLD tokens, which we've staked, and we use those. We've been selling those as well over time and moving off of selling ZEC. The BLD, the market for BLD tokens, because it's not as widely supported across exchanges, like Stark is on Kraken, for example, BLD is not, and we have to use an OTC.
Yeah, BLD is quite liquid.
Yeah, it's not very liquid. So our commitment and like not trying to, for all kinds of reasons, not trying to influence the price at all, is that we have a very structured mechanism in which we sell based upon volumes in the market, and what we can do without affecting, badly affecting the Agoric project or the chain, or taking the price, which wouldn't help any of us by just dumping our coins. So hopefully that's helpful, and I'm happy to
that covers a lot. Yeah. So just because the transparency report shows the rough market value of those assets, and then so you said 1.67% unvests monthly. That's of the holdings that you have in Starkware.
Yep, that's correct.
Okay. Yeah, I mean, I can kind of crank out some numbers from there just to get a feel for it, but the increased visibility there has been helpful. And the other thing is that it's like, I have a lot of respect, and I've seen, to my opinion, there's been a ton of belt tightening. The market has not been kind to Zcash lately, but it's great job, to keep the lights on and keep things moving in these conditions of the past couple of years. It looks great.
Thanks, Tom.
I'm going to drop from here, by the way. I've got to get back to my desk. Thanks, everyone.
Thanks for joining.
What a great conversation, no, Squirrel. It's very interesting here the leaders, here the community, and the chat is on fire too.
I know. We should do this more often.
True.
Gonna brainstorm over the weekend and put together a list of most active community members contributing to Dev Fund conversation. Thanks, Trends. Thank you. Deidre saying, this is really awesome to see. This is truly Zcash unified. Hey, it's happening. If you build it, they will come. Or something like that.
I will point out, we're in the Global Lounge. We're in here every single Friday at about this same time. So we have a lot more people than we normally do. So I just want to shout out to folks that are in here. Everybody's welcome every Friday.
What do we normally do on Friday?
Mostly just hang out, but we can make them more focused on certain things.
And after we have a special event, the final special event with Mr. Segmek. We have a lot of music, Squirrel.
Yeah, I'm looking forward to it. I don't think Discord has DMCA, so we're going to hear some favorites.
Oh, I just wanted to mention, I wanted to bring the conversations back to my first Zec. There's a reason why I think there's so much engagement. And it's not surprising for me at all to hear Elise talk about how people stepped forward to support this project. When I get the feedback from some of the parents, some of the Zcashers' parents, on how they use Zec to pay allowance to their kids, like when they talk about it, it becomes very clear there's something really special there, like this whole subject of educating children, but also in the process the parents are educating themselves as well. So I think this is super, like, I'm really excited to see where this is going to go, and I would really I'm happy to see how the community is getting behind this project, because I agree with Elise, sky's the limit there. And my research confirms this. So I really look forward to what this project is going to do. And like, I'm here to support it in any way I can. So I look forward to collaborating with you, Elise.
Cool. I can't believe there's crypto clubs in high schools now. That's like shocking to me. And financial literacy in general is like has never existed in schools, I don't think. So it's good to see Zcash is contributing in so many different areas. It's pretty cool.
Well, I mean, Zcashers are also parents. So it's again, it's something that kind of like cookies. Like, we've all eaten cookies before, most of us anyway. Like, you have to be a sociopath not to like cookies, even if you're like trying to watch your sugar. But with kids, like, it's another thing that everybody can relate to. Every Zcasher, everybody who's in this industry, or like investors, I could just see this project pulling in more people. So I'm super excited about this. I think it's just, yeah, good things will come out of it.
Yeah, I don't know if you can hear me, folks. I changed devices. Yeah, I think that there is currently a lot of demand from the youth to be financial literate, and there's a lot of crap and psyops and a lot of trashy content for them, and fake influencers telling young people that you can be rich in a matter of months. At least here in Argentina, where the economic situation is really bad and families are struggling, the teenagers are trying to get money for the families, and they actually get into a lot of like betting schemes, or like financial Ponzi schemes and fake academics, for fake academians, where they can learn, quote unquote, to be brokers, quote unquote. With authentic and honest resources to financial literacy is really important, regardless the coin, regardless the asset, because there's a lot of, I'm sorry for the words, but it's not other word. There's a lot of crap that is being fed to teenagers over the different social medias, and that My First Zcash and books like that one really make a difference.
Yeah, I need to read through the workbook itself, but I'm sure it'll be really interesting. So, did anyone have any new topics that we can bring up? If anyone would like to come to the stage, I'm going to start inviting people. Hold on. And yeah, I'm not sure we still have Dismad, but okay, we'll bring up Lowo. Welcome. He is the newest member of ZecHub DAO, and I think he is a secret maxi as well. Is that right?
Correct, Squirrel.
Hey,
Hello
how's it going?
everyone. I'm doing fine. I just wanted to let everybody know. I had fun at ZconV, and I'm a founder of Leone DAO. The whole mission is to like spread financial literacy. That's why I wanted to come up and let it be known, because I was on the topic. I want to run like a validator. I'm like secret and contribute like running a validator with Zcash as well, and use like the funds, the whole dollar, everything will be based off of like spreading financial literacy throughout the community and everywhere. Like with the book, I think it'll be great that we get some people in every region to like form like a group or something and just go around and just spread the word through like different school, like mostly public schools. So I think it'll be like more easier. Like even the schools like you went to as a child, your middle school, elementary, high schools. I think that'd be great.
Yeah, I want to pile onto that. So this it made me think of like something we used to do and at ECC we haven't done for a while, but it was really powerful. And maybe there's something there, at least with your content, you and the team. We used to run something called Crypto in Context. And so what we did is we partnered with a school teacher in the South Bronx, Carlos Acevedo, who's now got a job through that whole thing and is no longer a school teacher there. He's at Brave and helped put this whole Brave deal together with Zcash.
Oh wow.
But what we did is we went to the South Bronx and we met for 2 days. The first one was over a weekend for 2 days of kind of intensive study with, I think in that one, I don't know, we had 15 or so students, high school students, and brought in multiple speakers, and it was intended to be bi-directional education. So there was education of like learning what cryptocurrency is and that kind of thing. And then we had different speakers come in for different topics. So we had Gemini come in and talk about exchanges. We had, I think we had Flexa come in, as where we got to know the Flexa team to talk about payments and how that stuff might work. And they were very interactive sessions. So it allowed students to have, access to these experts and to give their feedback and their thoughts. And we ended up doing it. We did it a couple times in the South Bronx. We did it, where else were we in? We did it in Harlem with the university. And they were really, really incredibly powerful. We had community, we had not like the one in Harlem, we ended up having some people that were adults who heard about the sessions and wanted to participate as well. So they came and they were talking about their businesses and how they onboard other businesses into crypto within their communities. And they're part of these small business groups and things like that. So one of the challenges that we had with that was content. It just takes so much time and work to pull together the content to be able to present and share. And so at least it could be a fantastic resource if somebody wants to pick up that flag and run with it. We'd love to be able to support that kind of thing.
Hey, and if you go into the ZecHub main channel, ZecHub channel, just earlier today, this morning, some random person made a free to Z page, and it was basically a proposal to do local Zcash meetups. And so it's kind of like it's all coming together. We've got people in the community who want to do their own local meetings, and we've got a new workbook which teaches people not just about Zcash but about what money is in general. So yeah, Looking good. Every Friday, right here at 4 p.m. UTC. Please do join.
Yes, Squirrel.
Hey.
Yes, Squirrel. I want to get with you and dive in deeper on this.
Sure.
Yeah. Because
What do you mean
financial
by-
literacy, like teaching people the understanding of crypto, is very serious. Like Zcash is like one of the most important things in the world right now, my opinion.
Yeah, I feel like just my personal opinion is that we just shouldn't do CBDC, right? Like Bitcoin isn't great because there's just the potential that it could go very badly, but right now it kind of works. Okay, so you can use Lightning
Yeah.
Network, and there are still some things that Bitcoin is useful for, particularly like store of value. It kind of works with Bitcoin, but I think just education away from CBDC is, I'm happy with that. Hey Pio,
Okay, I
what's up?
understand.
Hello guys. Can you guys hear me?
Yeah.
Yeah, Bill.
Okay. Thanks for inviting me. I was outside and the connection was bad. But in that way, when you talk about mass adoption, I think we need to talk about education too. I think it's the most important part because yes, you need to have people in the front lines teaching them, showing them as ZecHub do today. But uh, it's not just about showing tools, but showing what is the behind of these tools, the real value, not monetary one, but what these two could bring to the people, like freedom, or privacy. And this is like a main topic or a mission that we from Privacy Met try to do every single video, every single post. Today we are attending in a local privacy event. It's inspired in the crypto party. Will be happening today here in Brazil, the crypto rave. So, but I'm trying to resume that the education needs to be uh, uh, you need to count when you develop a privacy project that your community need to be part, and you need to have people inside them to educate others, because in the end could be just a tool that anyone could use or not. Mass adoption relies, in my point of view, in education.
I agree. And there's so many different ways that you can educate people, right? So you were talking
Yeah.
about like in-person events. There is no doubt. I think in my mind, the best way to teach someone about something is for them to have it in their hands and use it. That's like the best way. Is
Yeah.
I'm sure we can all remember our first like crypto transaction, and like after that happened, you kind of gain some innate understanding of how it all works, right? There's some almost like a moment of revelation, like, oh wow, that's how a crypto transaction works. And so giving people that opportunity, making that happen in as many different ways that we can think up, is the way forward. Yeah, like one of the interesting things that I've been thinking of in my mind is like Zcash apps. So in a few months, Zcash is going to be on Brave Wallet. Okay. So I don't know how many millions, like 90 million people are going to suddenly have access to shielded Zcash. But what are they going to do with it? Okay. So I'm trying to, what I hope to do is encourage, like we've got James Katz here who built the Dizzy bot. So in Discord, all the people, 27 people in the audience, Zekmek says, I actually think the best way to learn, even better than by doing, is by having to teach someone younger or less experienced how to do something you yourself are not that proficient at. Yeah. Well, teaching, yeah, they do say teaching is the best way of learning. True. Maybe they're equally important. But yeah, so Brave is coming and people are going to have access to shielded Zcash. What are they going to do with it? How are they going to what will the impetus be for them to start making transactions, start using the network, find different counterparties that accept Zec? So there's going to be this My First Zcash thing, maybe in the workbook itself, as they go through and answer questions. They can be something like Zip321, where if they get a correct answer, they earn Zec, like Decentralist Dan's idea. Maybe another thing, there was the idea for a Zcash radio station. What if people are able to listen to Zcash radio and they can send in songs by paying maybe $2 in Zec, and the shielded memo field contains the URL to the song that they'd like to play. Stuff like that, where people are interacting with the network. It doesn't have to be all security audited and like waterproof or whatever. But just as long as people are like figuring things out with the network, I think it would be good. How to play Peso Pluma on Zec Radio. I don't know what that is.
Squirrel, don't worry about Peso Pluma.
What is that?
It's I don't know how to say. It's urban music, like reggaeton or something like that. I prefer Segmek music.
Yeah, should we get that going? We've got 9 minutes left.
Yeah.
Should we bring Zekmek up?
We are going to go to another party, but I really love this meet. Reading the chat, I really like to be collaborations, links, people meeting. Is very powerful this meeting very often, and like the invitation that Dan make, I will go to take. It's very powerful.
Yes, and following what Squirrel was saying, I think that we as a community need to make people understand with my first Zcash, of course, but make them and help them to create businesses around Zcash, to help them to spend. Yeah, you have now the Brave wallet, but you gonna wanna to spend your Zcash, not just only buying T-shirts on ZecHub, but also buying coffee, a lunch, and I don't know, digital products. I think has a potential to be developed on this side too.
And we have the developers who are in the community, right? That's the big thing. We've got James Katz in here, who made Dizzy and who made the Zec Faucet. I think Gorga as well. He's a developer. Triple Yubu has made like 2 games or something. I saw Snake and there's Pong. So, you know, you could deploy that to IPFS and kind of integrate some kind of Zec payment to, you know, insert coin to play a game, that type of thing. There are things we can do. Yes, Zekmek, I will bring you up.
Welcome, Segmek.
Hi, how's it going?
Very cool.
Is it? Can anyone hear me when I'm talking now?
Yep.
Yes.